Resident Evil 8 Mommy Milkers Deluxe Edition is the 27th game in the Resident Evil franchise. And yeah, you'd think killing zombies would have gotten stale 10 years ago, yet by some enormous stroke of luck, Village makes another appetizing meal. It might not break new ground, but it treads a familiar and beloved path. Zombies in Europe? Oi, 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 you got a license to be infected, do ya? The story, on the other hand, is really bad, even by Resident Evil standards. And the characters? No other zombie game franchise has lasted 25 years or been as successful as Resident Evil. Capcom simply found a way to give survival horror mass appeal. It's the go-to for this kind of stuff, but the road to glory has been,
a little rough, don't you think?
So how does RE8 fit in with the main series? Quick recap. The first 3 titles followed the same style with tank controls and fixed camera angles. They focused way more on the horror with smaller chunks of action. Capcom's motto at the time was, scaring the player is more important than anything else. These 3 all had remakes that make them actually playable today. And if it isn't the lady killer himself, Leon Shut the Front Door Kennedy.
No, you stay here with Leon. He's better with the ladies, I'm sure.
Resident Evil 4 is one of the all-time GOATs and my favorite in the franchise. It marked the biggest explosion in Resident Evil's popularity, shifting the games to become more explosive, action-packed adventures, while retaining only part of its former horror. Resident Evil 5 and 6? You can go ahead and skip those. Just play 4 again. Capcom basically tried cranking the dial even further towards action, but these games ended up being balls to the walls ridiculous. RE7 Biohazard returned to the roots of the OG trilogy with psychological terror that brought back the soul of the franchise. But with the added twist of a first-person view, it was new and innovative, got Resident Evil back on its feet after years of mediocre games. So anticipation was high for Village. And you know, this movie's alright, not great. I mean, what do you expect from Shyamalan? Most people suspected Village was gonna be more like 7, and while it is a direct sequel, Resident Evil 8 is more so the spiritual successor to Resident Evil 4. But is that a good thing? Does Village capture the same lightning in a bottle that 4 did? What's in store for Ethan Winters in the next chapter of his tale? Will I even care about it? And does Village manage to satisfy fans of both styles? Well, let's bend over for Lady D, buy guns from a mysterious fat man, and rescue our daughter straight into this. It begins with a cartoon that looks as good as any Disney movie. Seriously, was Tim Burton behind this? Am I playing Resident Evil or watching James and the Giant Peach? Oh, it's just a fairy tale. A game fair. The Village of Shadows. What an interesting name. But small spoiler warning.
Tactical nuke ready for launch.
Okay, so this kid's story is meant to be like an allegory for the plot, with the 4 monsters representing the 4 villains you fight. Having beat the game, I can tell you this has nothing to do with anything at all. It's just kind of an artistic thing. Anyways, having escaped the Waken Baker house in Louisiana, Ethan and Mia have performed the reproductive act.
Yes!
And now have a daughter named Rose. But the couple is having trouble adjusting to normal life.
We moved here so that she wouldn't have to deal with any of that, remember?
There's nothing wrong with my memory.
Damn! I guess the first boss fight is against the nerve of this bitch!
You're just being paranoid.
So Ethan puts Rose to bed and you get a chance to walk around the house, which is kinda cool. There's some Easter eggs, stuff to read, and let it be known right here, right now, Village has got some insane level of detail. You'll find yourself stopping to smell the roses very often. I'm gonna go now. Okay, that was bad. Review's over. Ethan and Mia talk, revealing to us that they've had military training, they moved out here super fast, yada yada yada. I think you should get down, Mia.
Mia, get down!
You should probably get okay.
Mia!
It's a gruesome scene, but is it just me, or are the sound effects, like, really bad here? Matter of fact, Ethan Winters does not sound like a dude who just saw the love of his life get riddled with bullets.
Mia. Oh, God.
Oh, no!
Now, if it were me, I'd be like, Chris, I thought you were supposed to protect us.
Looks like there's been a change of plans.
Chris? What the hell?
Sorry, Ethan.
No!
Bro straight looks me dead in the eye after shooting my wife and then proceeds to bust 5 more caps in her. Like, what?
What the fuck, Richard?
Sorry, Ethan. Why won't you die?
What? Why?
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain.
Without offering any kind of explanation, which I'm sure he could do, Chris dashes in, kidnaps Rose, and this happens.
Take him away.
I said get your hands off her!
Ethan, no.
Bad. That's a bad Ethan. No. Ethan, no. Bad. So you get hauled away by these goons, the transport crashes, and you're left alone to wander in this dark, snowy forest. So it's a decent setup, but to answer your question, yes, Resident Evil 8 is filled with terrible dialogue and corny writing, which isn't a first for the series.
Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
But Village also has problems with internal logic, and you really have to question why characters make certain decisions. Wait, how did the truck crash this deep into the forest? And why was it headed to the exact place where Rose is being held? How come Chris and his cronies didn't travel as a group to avoid this? But we'll get into that later. Oh, now this is getting spooky. As I walked through the forest into the cabin, there were many genuine moments of terror. I had no idea what to expect. The amazing graphics and lighting sets the tone really well. And for maybe a half hour, it feels like Resident Evil 7 all over again. And then you get a gun. A lot of RE7 fans are beefing with this game because they expected it to continue the trend of more horror and less action. I get it. Now let me explain why Village doesn't do that. Remember at the beginning when I said Resident Evil gave survival horror a mass appeal? Well, that was the problem. Turns out 7 was a bit too scary for some people. Its spookiness was off the charts on the spookometer. At least that's what the producer said. It's always our goal to create something that anybody can feel comfortable playing. It's kind of tricky to be in the business of selling horror-related products because if something is too scary, then people don't want to watch it or play it. But that's the whole point of the horror genre. So where do you draw the line? How do you make a game that is just spooky enough? Well, it wouldn't hurt to look to the past for ideas.
Over here, stranger. Got something that might interest you.
I've beaten Resident Evil 4 no less than 7 times. I absolutely love it. So you can imagine my excitement when I realized I was playing another game just like it. I was straight up addicted to Village for 5 days straight, and it had almost nothing to do with the world's greatest female basketball player, but I can't deny it's weird to make a direct sequel to one thing and a spiritual successor to another. Yeah? Yeah, no, I'll ask. I got a call here for The Force Awakens? Anybody? The Force Awakens? Here's the problem right out the gate. There's 2 different crowds to please. Is this more of what I loved about 7, or is this gonna do all the things I enjoyed about 4? The answer is both, kind of. So I didn't play Biohazard, but I've watched a lot of gameplay and know the story well enough to comment on it. There are certain sections like the opening and the dollhouse which focus entirely on the horror, but aside from that, it's mostly action. And Village takes a lot of ideas straight from RE4. Yet there's enough new, original stuff to make it not feel like a ripoff. But at the same time, both games are set in a remote village somewhere in Europe. Protagonist arrives at said village with the goal of rescuing someone that's been kidnapped. side character that periodically shows up, and you're unsure if they're on your side or not. Main village is overshadowed by a castle and a more industrial complex. The side villain that lives in the castle is vertically challenged. Both games have a gigantic fish monster as a boss, eccentric merchant that somehow shows up everywhere.
What are you buying? Just something an old friend of mine used to say.
What are you buying? What are you buying?
The Mercenary side mode makes a return. Ethan and Leon get attacked by a large group of zombies when the player is mostly unprepared at the start. A shotgun is found in a house during the opening section, blocking doorways with a bookshelf. Attach case inventory, upgrading weapons in the same 4 categories. Shoot crows for items, shoot gems off of walls. Even the description on the back covers says unspeakable horrors and unimaginable horrors. So I don't know, that's just the stuff I noticed. This doesn't feel like a ripoff, but I think it's walking a very fine line. Regardless, fans of 7 will probably be let down by the de-emphasized horror, but if you enjoyed RE4 even the slightest bit, Village will be a slam dunk for you. So Ethan arrives at the village where some unimaginable horrors have taken place. Yo, anybody trying to play Among Us?
No.
Turns out you're a lousy shot.
We run into an old man just as some monsters scream into the void. The tension is heightened when in desperation he asks,
You have a gun? What? Please tell me you have a gun. No, why would I?
He gives you a get and gets yeeted through the roof. Yo, you mind tossing your shotgun down here? Ah!
I majored in glad handing during Pathfinder training.
Dead body? It's impossible!
Oh my god! You think this hurts? You don't know what my hands are made of. Alright, not bad, but let's see what Professor Lupin really taught you. Village doesn't mess around. These lichen bastards are not to be underestimated. They're way more agile and fierce than the common zombies we're used to. Whew, well, at least that was just one guy. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Ironically, this is the hardest part of the entire game, because you barely had any time to get used to the mechanics, and the supplies you have are extremely limited. I felt lucky to only die twice in this opening, and just when all hope seems lost, the lichens scuttle away.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Village proves that Resident Evil is still the king of creating tension, especially early on where a single enemy can be your downfall. Not only are you always worried about the crazy shit in front of you, but also, what if there's another group right around the corner? I'm always making my decisions with the thought in my head, I better come out of this fight prepared for the next one. And that's a mark of a great survival game. Village teaches you playing carefully and efficiently is the road to success. Make use of your surroundings, and pro tip, get good with the knife, because it's possible to stun lock and combo slower enemies without using any ammo. Every missed shot is a punch in the gut, and that's the type of feeling I play Resident Evil for. That I'm going up against improbable odds. I have to conserve ammo, using it only when necessary. The feeling of starting out as a weak piece of crap and slowly becoming a powerful, capable badass. Village has that addicting progression that made RE4 so fun. There's a lot of neat environments, and some battles take place in tight areas. Really tight areas. RE8 allows you to move and shoot at the same time, so you have a bit of an advantage when it comes to dodging. Enemy attack patterns are telegraphed well, and may I say, Village is gorgeously animated. That military training really paid off for Ethan because he reloads with style. Also, the way the zombies' heads jerk back when you shoot them. These are next-gen visuals to me. What you're seeing on screen doesn't do it justice. From start to finish, Village is extremely polished. I ran into maybe 2 glitches. One was just a floating axe, and the other was me getting knocked into an area I wasn't supposed to be in.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
In Resident Evil 8, you have to adapt to the situation on the spot. And your first time through, you don't know where you're gonna be ambushed. So often you're trapped and have to make flight or fight decisions. The pacing of combat is perfect. never goes too long without some action or horror. Defeating a tough group of enemies feels so rewarding because you can take a breather and treasure the quiet moments as you explore, scavenge, and prepare. The inventory system, money, upgrades, progression is just as satisfying and fun as it was in 4. And this jolly man helping you, he ain't Santa Claus, he's the Duke. The most mobile, active, morbidly obese person in all of history. This guy travels miles just to sell you stuff. What a homie. On top of all this, you got a helpful crafting system, and it's nice that you don't have to go on a scavenger hunt. You'll run into these supplies just by plan, and it becomes a matter of choosing which item is going to be most helpful to craft right now. I also like that you can see which houses still have items in them for thorough explorers. Sound effects, animations, shooting, all this stuff is amazing. So the combat is pretty dope. I don't think anybody is going to argue that Village isn't fun, although the standard difficulty felt a little too easy. Most enemies have these huge delays between attacks.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Kill me! I'm here! Come on! Do it now! Kill me!
So you're never as pressured as you might feel. And before you die, you go into this bleed out state where one more hit will kill you, so you can always save your healing items for then. Landmines and explosives don't seem to hurt the player at all, so you don't have to be careful with using them. The village felt challenging, but in terms of how many deaths I had, less than 10 for sure. In my first playthrough of RE4, I probably died like 40 times. Granted, there are more difficulty options, and I'm excited to try those out. But just how scary is Resident Evil 8? Well, it definitely got me to piss myself more than once.
Trying to work up my appetite.
Oh no, I can't fight her. Oh god. Wait, there's a window. Yeah. Come on in here, bitch. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wait long.
I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Yup, this game needs to fuck off right now. The fear is effective, and Ethan gets messed up in this game. It's actually ridiculous. But seeing our character get beat down like this instills a powerful sense of dread and helplessness. House Beneviento feels like an entirely different game. It's all psychological terror, hallucinations, with zero combat. So while this is the only section similar to RE7, the tense atmosphere is still there throughout the whole game. I think a lot of it has to do with the random ambient noises, or the intense buildup of music during a fight. Too bad nobody's shouting in Spanish though. The horror is effective in most places, though when Lady Dimitrescu can't go into the Duke's shop, it's kind of funny. Ah, shoot! My weakness to high cholesterol! Curse you, Ethan Winters! Of course, one of the coolest parts of Village is the Village, which acts as a hub area. A village which gradually opens up the further you progress in the story, offering tons of hidden weapons and items that make it worth looking into every nook and cranny. There's a bit of backtracking, but old areas will be repopulated with new enemies. Shit, there's a couple boss fights that are entirely optional. A lot of people have complained about the length being around 6 to 7 hours, but mine was close to 10, and it really felt way longer. Probably because I spent so much time trying to get the best gear and mark every house as fully explored. For what it's worth, Village definitely recaptures the magical gameplay of 4, while adding some new things. Back to the story. While exploring the village, Ethan comes across a daughter and dad who have been injured. We help them into this house where, surprisingly, there are other survivors. I wonder how these characters are going to fit in with this. No! Oh, that's nice. Psych, everyone dies. And then Ethan shouts to the sky.
Why is everyone dying on me?
How could this happen to me?
I know this game isn't trying to be funny, But holy shit. Eventually you head into the castle where, ow! Chill, dude! Ethan is captured and we're introduced to the 5 main villains. Heisenberg, a metal bender.
Lady, supersized bitch. Ugly ass psycho doll. An emeronic freak.
And Mother Miranda, a weird crow lady and the leader. We see a bit of the chemistry between the villains, but this is the only time we see them all together, as each one will be fought in their own unique domain. But now we arrive at Village's greatest flaw. The protagonist, Ethan Winters. I hate this man.
What? Why?
Man, that's
A little rough, don't you think?
I can't speak for his character in the last game, but what was the angle here? Is Capcom trying to create the most unlikable main character possible? Spend a little too much time playing Bubsy?
Where the hell am I? What the hell happened here? What the hell is wrong with this place?
What the hell you doing with my daughter? What the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on? What the hell was that?
What the hell?
What the hell?
What the hell?
Chris? What the hell?
You must have no end of questions, Guardian.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. Resident Evil has always been a B-movie horror film.
What kind of demon attacked you?
It was a huge snake and also poisonous.
It never had the greatest storytelling, but the background lore and why these infections were happening was always fascinating enough to keep you playing. And that's true for Village. These games have ridiculous characters and over-the-top acting. Cheesy one-liners that make you roll your eyes.
That's a large thing you have there. But I don't like it when men play rough.
Resident Evil 5's final boss takes place in an active volcano.
The human race requires judgment.
You're going to judge us? You get all your ideas from comic book villains?
Yeah, this is real. The first few Resident Evil games had this major issue of not being able to take them seriously. But Resident Evil 4 balanced the silly and serious parts extremely well. You are reminded that the threat you're facing is real. Chainsaw guys can cut you up instantly. It had humor and charm that added realism to the characters.
I have only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
RE4 was also self-aware of its cheesiness and fully embraced it.
No thanks, bro.
Leon could be staring at the most grotesque creature imaginable and he'd just coolly say something like,
Monsters. Guess after this there'll be one less to worry about.
The joke is made, it lands, comedy established, and then you fight Salazar and he has this move that kills you in one hit. Now we're back to scary. This is how Resident Evil 4 could have you laughing your ass off 1 minute and pissing your pants the next. Resident Evil 4 knew when to make jokes and when to be serious. Village doesn't. Everyone wants to be the Chad Leon Kennedy, nobody wants to be the virgin loser Ethan Winters. So what makes this character so unbearably annoying? Well, it's like he's high all the time. The dude can't go 5 minutes without asking some dumb question.
The monsters? Where's Rose? Who's Mother Miranda?
He's always like, huh?
What? What? What was that thing?
What? What's going on?
Do you know anything about what's going on around here? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on here?
What's going on?
Tell me what's going on.
What is going on around here? What the hell is going on? Can someone please tell me what's going on? What the hell is going on here? What's going on?
What did you say? What?
What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here today?
Why are you here?
What's your plan for tonight?
What the fuck are they doing here?
What are you doing in my swamp?
Why are you doing all this?
Why are you doing this?
Who the fuck are you? What are you? How do you know my name? Wait, where's my gun?
What the hell was that?
Who's Mother Miranda? What are you doing here?
Shut your fucking hole!
Village is funny for all the wrong reasons. Ethan's dialogue is so terrible, it actually takes me out of the story and sucks away the drama.
Dead body?
I think I remember Ethan making like 2 to 3 jokes over the 10-hour game, all of which made me chuckle slightly.
Caught myself a big one.
And the Oscar goes to...
But those rare moments of personality feel so jarring because the rest of the time Ethan is a static blob. He's either mad about Rose,
Fuck you, you crazy bitch!
completely bewildered,
What are you talking about?
or just stating the obvious.
It's dark.
It is? I had no idea it was dark. Thank you. You see, I'm actually blind and can't see the screen. I get that they're trying to have the player ask questions about what's really going on, but Ethan blurts out questions without raising his hand when we're already asking ourselves the same thing. It doesn't raise tension or intrigue, it only subdues it. Ethan is so unlikable, so lacking in stage presence that I became disconnected with his goals. The love he has for Rose and the desire to save her was something I didn't feel. It's like Resident Evil 8 is trying to be 4, except it takes the plot and characters almost 100% serious. It just doesn't work.
Take Rose?
I'd like to see you try.
What the hell you doing with my daughter?
What's the point in having a voice protagonist if he's just gonna say what we're already thinking? It's a similar problem that Cyberpunk had. You got a main character you can't fully connect with because of the limited first-person perspective. I'm not Leon Kennedy, I'm playing as Leon Kennedy, and he's cool as shit.
Are you out of your mind?
I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt.
I'm not Ethan Winters, I'm playing as Ethan Winters, and I hate it.
This is impossible.
On top of that, Capcom tries to add mystery to Ethan by hiding his face. It's like, bitch, you ain't Master Chief. You ain't no Doom guy. Get the hell out of here.
What a freak.
Oh my god, shut up! I don't know if Ethan needed to talk at all. Should have just been Jack from BioShock. Maybe at the end have him lift his head and say something like, I'm gonna save Rose, or whatever. And have that be his only voiced line and make it really powerful. Or have the occasional cutscene where we see him interacting with other people, so we can connect to Ethan without feeling like we are him. Does any of this make sense? But it's not just Ethan, most of Village's cast is written like a book of cliches. Capcom, I got one question for you.
You get all your ideas from comic book villains?
One of the bad guys actually says curse you like it's a bad James Bond ripoff.
You're the one who's cut your fucking hole!
Moreau and the doll chick have no depth whatsoever, basically just throwaway villains to keep you busy. Heisenberg is cool, but Lady D is the most interesting because she has something to lose, her daughters. She cares about something, but you end up killing her about 3 to 4 hours in. Certainly dashed people's expectations, but I imagine Capcom didn't realize how powerful their marketing would become. There is an attempt at a subplot between the villains with Heisenberg being mad at Mother Miranda for doing all these experiments or whatever, but who cares? I'm not gonna pretend like RE4's cast was perfect, but these were villains I wanted to take down.
Leave Ashley out of this!
Oh, I needed her to buy Sadler's trust in me. Like you, I'm American.
They showed up over and over again, establishing presence, and their relationship with Leon was more fleshed out.
Been a long time, comrade.
This one line adds a personal investment in the fight with Jack Krauser. It's more personal than anything in Village. Ironically, the best parts are when Ethan shuts his yap and just does what you control him to do. At the very least, the gameplay is stellar enough that horrible writing isn't a deal breaker. And unraveling the mysteries of the plot was engaging enough to push me to the end. Still, I don't remember the last time I hated a protagonist this much. Not even Iden Versio. Alright, so we're into spoiler territory here. Skip ahead if you don't want the story spoiled.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Village has an interesting premise, but its story ultimately falls short. Just like Salazar.
How dare you!
So Rose was taken to this village, and for some reason her body was split into 4 pieces, each one held by one of the 4 lords. Sound familiar? The reason Rose was kidnapped was to be used as a vessel for Mother Miranda, who wants to revive her daughter that died 100 years ago. If that's the case, why split Rose into 4 pieces at all? Just so Ethan has something to run around and collect? You're not making a Paper Mario game. Why does Miranda wait for the climax before putting her ultimate plan in motion? Why not start the ceremony right away? Miranda tried experimenting on a bunch of other people, but none of them were suitable vessels for her daughter. This is why everyone in the village has weird mutant powers. It's all the Metamycete, this giant blob. But this also explains why they needed Rose, because it turns out she's got superpowers too, and would be the most powerful creature imaginable. Here's the kicker. Chris knew all of this shit in the beginning.
Sorry, Ethan.
And when we meet him in Heisenberg's factory, he reveals that Miranda is a shapeshifter that took the form of Mia. So he didn't actually kill her in the beginning.
I guess I owe you an explanation.
This begs the question, why didn't Chris tell Ethan about this before?
Why don't you fucking tell me right away?
Because I knew you would want to be involved. That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, I know why, because then there'd be no mystery. But the writers didn't create a good reason for Chris to withhold this information. It's a telltale sign of poor writing. Instead, we get this.
Ethan, no.
So Chris is a wet towel and kind of a dumbass, but Mother Miranda is the real disappointment. She's made out to be this all-powerful character in charge of the other four. We only catch brief glimpses of her until the final battle. At one point, Village turns into modern warfare, literally, with these giant shootouts that pose no challenge because he got so much ammo. And yeah, Chris is given night vision goggles.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
When playing as Chris, you enter Miranda's lab and find a treasure trove of information. And Mother Miranda soon becomes the most pivotal character in the Resident Evil universe, because she was in contact with Oswald Spencer, the founder of Umbrella, and gave him the idea of creating zombies as bioweapons. I thought it was a neat touch to have the Umbrella logo shown in the village and tie everything together with the previous games. But Mother Miranda is not treated like the most pivotal character she is. She's killed off just as fast as she arrived. Her motivations to revive her dead daughter also doesn't add any tragic element because it lacks depth. Mother Miranda's shape-shifting ability was also extremely disappointing. I thought this was going to be used in creative ways where like Chris was going to turn out to be Mother Miranda or some shit, and then he'd run into Chris and Chris would be like, "What? I didn't talk to you," and then boom, big explosion or whatever. But no, she only transforms just to taunt Ethan. After the fight with Heisenberg, Ethan is killed. And it's revealed that he has regenerative powers from the mold in RE7, which explains why he got so fucked up in this game and kept moving. So we're at the climax. The Duke has been a homie helping us out, and the parasite hidden beneath the castle is going crazy. The stupidest part is the ending. After you kill Miranda, Chris comes to the rescue of Ethan and Rose, and he's planted an explosive on the Megamycete, the thing that gave everyone powers, and plans to blow the place sky high.
When I hit this trigger, we can't be anywhere near it.
But then for no reason at all, Ethan takes the remote detonator and plans to kill himself in the explosion? Isn't that why you brought a remote detonator? So you don't have to be in the explosion when it goes off? You know, it's not really a heroic sacrifice if your death is completely avoidable. Ethan, I think your Majin Buu regen powers are gonna keep you alive till you get to the helicopter.
He stayed so we could all escape.
No, he didn't, you asshole. Village ends the same way every Resident Evil game ends. A giant explosion. And one last Disney animation about how the dad came in to save the daughter. The epilogue shows Rose visiting her father's grave years later, and there's an implication that she has control over her powers. The father's story is concluded, and not short enough it was. At the end of Village, I was left thoroughly entertained because the designers knew how to make a fun-ass video game, but the writers didn't know how to keep me invested. In conclusion, Resident Evil 8 kicks some serious ass with its combat and gameplay. It does recapture most of the essence of RE4, yet doesn't totally abandon the horror and fear like 5 and 6 did, and the survival elements are well and alive. While the horror was toned down a bit, Village is still terrifying at times, though these sections are often disconnected from the rest of the game. Village attempts to please both crowds, but it's clear the RE4 fanboys won this round. The Mercenaries side mode and extra content add immense replay value, and I'm sure I'll want to come back to this even years from now. I think this will be a timeless classic. The story and characters, on the other hand, struggle to be as memorable, charming, or interesting as RE4. The stellar gameplay doesn't change the fact that you're gonna be playing as a dumb asshole the entire time. And that is why Resident Evil 8 Village is so awesome and bad.
Listen up, Spartans. It's Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief Sierra 117. Subscribe to the Ackman for awesome content and finish the fight. Master Chief, out.